Her laugh echoed through the baby monitor, low, breathy, not meant for me. I'd set it up to watch our daughter. I watched her ride her study partner instead. In my house. While I worked overtime for her law school bills. She'll wish it had just been words. Tuesday nights used to mean quiet. She had her study group at Jessica's place. I had the house to myself, or I thought I did. That night, the air felt off. Like something clung to it. Not perfume. Musk. Heavy. Male. I walked into our bedroom, and the sheets were still warm. Not from her. From something else. Someone else. Ashley had left 10 minutes before. Said she'd be back late. She kissed my cheek, distracted, barely met my eyes. Midterms, she said, with a smile too fast and eyes too distant. I caught a whiff of cologne as she passed, not mine. Something spicy. Cheap. Not her usual taste. But then again, maybe I didn't know her taste anymore. I pulled out the hamper. Her clothes weren't there. Just a blouse, balled up and inside out, reeking of sweat and something sour. No bra. No panties. Just the button-up, lipstick stained at the collar. Not hers. She hadn't studied at Jessica's in weeks. That I confirmed later. But that night, I just stood there, the smell in my nostrils, and let the question rot in my gut. We met when she was 23. Smart, ambitious, already networking circles around me. I was the stable one, job, mortgage, savings. She said I made her feel anchored. I should have heard the code in that. Anchored means she planned to drift. Lately, she'd been pulling back. Longer showers. Phone always face down. New lingerie she never wore for me. She'd started wearing her makeup after leaving the house. And then the name started showing up, Travis. At first it was small. Travis thinks this case is sexist. Travis showed me a cool method for outlining briefs. Travis says I should challenge my prof more. Always with that soft chuckle, like Travis was harmless. Just a study partner. The first time I saw his name on her lock screen, it was midnight. She was asleep, the phone buzzing against her nightstand. I didn't pick it up. I just watched it glow. Travis, don't forget how you moaned my name. I didn't wake her. I didn't scream. I took the phone, screenshotted everything, and airdropped it to my work computer. Then I put it back, exactly where she left it, angle and all. 3 days later, she asked if we could start therapy. I just feel like we're disconnected, she said, tilting her head like the thought had just occurred. I nodded. Took her hand. Played the dumb, tired husband. She suggested a couples counselor her professor recommended. I agreed. It was a setup. Her therapist, Amanda Klein, turned out to be Travis's sister. A plant. Ashley wanted to build a narrative, poor overwhelmed law student, overworked husband who didn't emotionally engage, paternal patterns, all that rot. The therapist pushed the same script every week. How do you think you might be smothering Ashley's independence? I played along. She never noticed I recorded every session. That night, with the sheets still warm and the air still wrong, I took the baby monitor from our daughter's room and planted it behind the bookshelf in our study, the one she never touched. The camera faced the couch. Wide angle. Silent. Subtle. 2 nights later, I saw it. The door opened. Her laugh. Low, breathy, filthy. His voice, young, overeager, too loud. She shushed him. He's probably asleep, she whispered, and they fell into the couch like they'd done it a dozen times. I didn't throw the monitor. I didn't yell. I watched them. Studied their study session. He called her Ash. She called him baby. They never once said a word about school. I watched until they finished. She wiped herself with one of my t-shirts. Then I turned off the monitor. And I smiled. The next morning, Ashley hummed while making coffee. Like nothing had happened. She wore the same robe she always did, white, plush, wedding gift from her aunt. Only now I noticed the smear of foundation at the collar. Travis didn't bother wiping his hands, I guess. She poured 2 mugs, added almond milk to mine like always, and leaned on the counter like a wife who hadn't spent the night being someone else's plaything. "Big meeting today?" she asked, voice light. I nodded. "Yeah. You?" She shrugged. "Library with Travis. We're cramming for con law." The lie slid out like butter. She didn't even blink. The mugs clinked against the counter. That sound stayed with me all day. How ordinary it was. How stupid I'd been to think anything was ordinary anymore. I started tracking everything. Phone backups. Passwords. Her Apple ID gave me access to cloud messages she forgot to delete. GPS data from our shared plan. I even installed a keystroke logger on her laptop. She left it open one night, logged into her school portal. Trust was the real security flaw. Turns out, study group was just a euphemism for her new life. She met Travis at the university coffee shop. He was 25, underemployed, and rode a skateboard. No car, no degree yet. Just tattoos, raw energy, and dreams of becoming a podcast host. Of course. Their chats were full of if-only fantasies, if only she hadn't married so young, if only I understood her mind, if only we didn't have a kid. She told him I was a loving provider but emotionally rigid. That I didn't believe in her growth. That I probably wouldn't even care if she left. I read those words 3 times. Not because they hurt, that part had passed, but because I realized what she was doing. Laying groundwork. Spinning a version of herself that made him feel like the rescuer, not the wrecking ball. She wasn't cheating on impulse. She was crafting an exit. And I wasn't in it. A week later, she told me she wanted a trial separation. We were at the kitchen table, same table where she and Travis had done things I couldn't erase from memory. She said it with a softness that almost sounded kind. "I just need space to think. It's not about anyone else, Mark. It's me. I'm overwhelmed." I nodded. "Take all the time you need." She looked surprised. Almost disappointed. She expected a fight. Maybe even a tear. I gave her stillness. That scared her more. While she packed a bag for her sister's place, I called my lawyer. Not just any lawyer, one of my clients, a divorce shark who owed me a favor. I sent him the footage. The texts. The calendar entries. The sync location data. I asked him for a quiet plan. The next day, Ashley kissed our daughter goodbye and left the house with a suitcase. She texted me that night, "Thank you for understanding. I think this space will be good for us." I replied, "Absolutely. Take your time." She didn't know she'd walked into a trap. See, I'd already visited her sister's place. Her sister wasn't even in town. She was in Denver, visiting their mother in hospice. That apartment. Empty. Ashley had rented a short-term Airbnb under a burner Gmail. I found it through the email receipts backed up in her iCloud. That's where she was staying, with Travis. The same Travis who thought podcasting was a career move. She wasn't planning a separation. She was rehearsing a replacement. I set up surveillance. Legal, quiet, tight. I hired a retired PI, ex-cop, discreet, thorough. We tracked them for 6 days. Everything went into the file: when they left, where they ate, what stores they visited. The receipts painted a story more honest than her face ever did. On day 7, she called. "I think I'm ready to talk. About us." Perfect. I told her to come home Saturday night. I'd cook. We'd talk. She agreed. Travis wasn't invited. But he'd be there. He just didn't know it yet. Saturday. I set the table for 2. Steak, her favorite, medium rare. Candles. Music low. The illusion of normalcy had to be complete. That's how she operated. She needed a scene to play her part in. I dressed like I always did. Button down. Watch she gave me for our anniversary. Hair combed, not too neat. Like I still cared. She arrived 15 minutes late. Said traffic was bad. Her makeup was light, like she wanted to seem natural. She even wore the necklace I gave her when she passed the bar prep course, the same one she had unfastened while straddling Travis 3 days earlier. "Smells amazing," she said, walking into the kitchen like she lived there. "Figured we should eat before the hard part," I said. She smiled at that, grateful I'd softened the blow. She thought she was in control. We sat. Ate. Talked about neutral things, work, the baby, the new neighbors. She avoided eye contact during anything serious. That was always her tell. Then came the line she'd practiced in the mirror, "I think we rushed into things. Maybe we both need to rediscover who we are, separately. Not who I am. Who we are." Plural blame. Shared guilt. Always her tactic. I nodded. "And Travis helps you feel rediscovered?" The fork clinked. She blinked once. Twice. Not fast enough to cover the panic. "What are you talking about?" I pushed my phone across the table. Opened screen. Paused video. Her voice, unmistakable, breathless, "God, don't stop. Don't stop, Travis." She didn't press play. She didn't need to. Her hand froze above it. Her mouth opened, no words came. I stayed calm. "I know where you sleep. I know what you text. I know the burner email. I know the Airbnb." Her face changed. Not shame. Strategy. "Okay," she said slowly. "Okay. This isn't what it looks like." She always picked that line. As if my senses were the problem. I leaned back. "Then explain it." I felt alone, she started. "You were always at work. You stopped listening. Travis, he just saw me. He saw a married woman with a child and a mortgage and still thought with his dick. You call that vision?" Silence. She tried again. "We never meant for it to get this far. I was going to end it. I was going to tell you tonight." That last line almost got a laugh out of me. She still thought she could script the outcome. I didn't tell her I had every text. Every location ping. Every therapy session recorded, all of it admissible under consent laws in our state. I didn't mention that I'd already filed. Already frozen the accounts. Already removed her name from the deed. Quietly. Legally. Instead, I nodded again. Maybe we both made mistakes. That threw her. She looked up, cautious hope in her eyes. "Do you mean that?" I smiled. "Of course. In fact, I made a big one. I trusted you." She reached across the table, like she was trying to rewrite the ending. "Maybe we can start over. Just, slow." I let her hand rest over mine. I didn't squeeze back. Because while she was sipping wine and spinning fairy tales, Travis was already unraveling. Earlier that day, I'd paid his ex, yes, he had one, to post screenshots of his DMs across every university forum he used. The ones where he propositioned undergrads. Swiped on students he tutored. Bragged about married chicks being the freakiest. He was toxic. And now he was exposed. And Ashley. She'd soon find herself equally radioactive. I just needed to let her think forgiveness was an option for one more act. Because tomorrow, everything she built, her career, her reputation, her affair, was going to burn. By Sunday morning, the cracks weren't cracks anymore. They were canyons. Ashley slept in. Wore my t-shirt like she was still allowed to. Made coffee like nothing had changed. But I noticed her phone never left her side. She didn't touch it, just kept glancing. Travis hadn't texted all night. Or that morning. She was waiting. "What time's the baby waking up?" she asked, pretending to care. I shrugged. Let her sleep. She had a rough night. Like her father, she was learning to lie still, even when the world shifted. Ashley took a long sip of coffee and kept her eyes on me. Last night meant a lot. That's how they test the water, not with apologies, but invitations. Invitations to forget. I said nothing. Instead, I walked to the living room, grabbed the small manila envelope I'd placed under the stack of old mail. I handed it to her. "What's this?" she asked, voice thin. "Feedback." She opened it. Inside, printed screenshots of her messages to Travis, bank statements showing Venmo transfers labeled "rent" to his name, and the contract from the Airbnb, signed with her fake Gmail, tied to her IP. All of it stapled in neat packets. She rifled through them. The color drained from her face in real time. "Why are you doing this?" There it was. The real her. Not the wife. The survivor. Not asking if it was true. Just why I'd stopped playing along. "I'm doing what you would have done if you were smarter." She slammed the packet down. "This is entrapment. This is controlling. No. This is preparation." She stood. Paced. Checked her phone again. Still no Travis. That's because he'd been suspended from campus that morning. Someone had emailed the university's ethics board. Anonymously. With receipts. And I'd made sure the screenshots made their way to his current job interview. He'd been in talks with a legal podcast network. I sent them the Married Freaks thread, with timestamps. Ashley's phone finally buzzed. She stared at it, froze, then put it back down. Didn't read it aloud. Didn't even type back. That told me all I needed. "You're scaring me, Mark," she said suddenly. I almost laughed. Scaring her? "I'm not angry," I replied. "I'm not even surprised. I'm just done." She started crying. That slow, breathy cry people practice in mirrors, tears without tremble. A calculated break. Just enough vulnerability to make you question your cruelty. "I gave everything to this family," she choked. "I just needed someone to see me." "No," I said. "You needed someone to believe your fiction." I walked over, picked up the last item in the envelope, the updated custody proposal. 80/20th split. She'd keep weekends, if she passed the psychological review. No alimony. Child support based on adjusted income. She'd signed a postnup during law school, back when she was scared I might pull funding. I handed it to her. Her mouth moved but made no sound. "This is war," she whispered. "No. This is exit." I walked out of the room. Let her sit in it. Let her taste what silence feels like when it stops being passive and becomes punishment. By noon, she'd packed a bag again. This time, no kisses. No fake tears at the crib. She walked out the front door like it was her first time seeing it from that side. She didn't know about the final layer yet. Not the HR package mailed to her internship. Not the letter to the State Bar Ethics Committee. Not the audio files already uploaded to an encrypted drive. She still thought this was personal. It wasn't. It was methodical. It was earned. The day after she left for the second time, I changed the locks. I didn't tell her. Just let her find out the quiet way, key sliding into metal, refusing to turn. The silence after that click. Better than any argument. She texted. "Key's not working. Did something happen?" I waited an hour before replying. No. Let her sit with that. I spent the rest of the day cataloging everything. Every whisper, every missed call, every financial thread she never thought I'd follow. Her laptop still synced to our home Wi-Fi the first night she was gone. That was all I needed. Pulled her browsing history, downloads, private notes. The PDF titled, "Outline for Separation," was sloppy, half therapy quotes, half wishful timelines. She had notes like, "Emphasize emotional disconnection, focus on my need for growth," and, my favorite, "Reframe affair as catalyst, not betrayal." She was scripting her absolution. In another folder, webcam photos she forgot existed. One showed Travis lying on our couch, shirtless, reading her textbook upside down. Another of them drinking wine, her leg draped over him. Our daughter's toy blocks in the background, like the collateral damage didn't matter. I downloaded every image. Timestamped. Backed up. One for each version of the lie. My lawyer called that night. Said the private investigator had submitted the final batch. One photo in particular sealed the deal, Ashley kissing Travis outside the university library, hand in his back pocket, her school bag slung over his shoulder like she was carrying nothing but pride. Her internship code of conduct had a clause about preserving public perception of character. She'd signed it in ink. That photo. Printed. Included in an anonymous packet mailed to her supervisor. I didn't gloat. I annotated. Meanwhile, I kept attending therapy. Alone, now. But I brought the recordings, every session Amanda Klein conducted, every word she pushed in Ashley's defense. The therapist's voice on tape saying things like, "Mark, do you think your expectations come from your own trauma?" And, "Ashley is brave for seeking truth in an uncomfortable space." The therapist had never disclosed her relation to Travis. Conflict of interest. Unethical. Possibly illegal. Another file, another printout, another report submitted, this time to the licensing board. I wasn't screaming. I was building. Quietly. Like a house made of receipts. On day 3 of her exile, she called me. Voice low. Careful. I just want to come get some clothes. Can we talk? About. She hesitated. Us. No need, I said. There is no us. She sighed. Mark, don't do this. We have a daughter. Exactly. Pause. I made a mistake. No. You made a map. She hung up. A few hours later, she showed up anyway. No knock. Just tried the door. It didn't budge. She rattled it. Knocked. Pounded. I watched from the kitchen, didn't move. Let her knock herself out. Then she stepped back and screamed, "I will take everything from you." Finally. The truth, unscripted. I recorded that too. That night, I compiled everything into a timeline, a full dossier. I labeled every folder by date. Every message. Every bank slip. Every excuse she gave and how it unraveled. It wasn't just revenge. It was preservation. Because the next move wouldn't be mine. It would be hers, the inevitable counterattack, the sob story, the spin. And when she made it, I'd be ready with the truth. By Thursday, the public version of Ashley began to crack. Her social accounts went dark. She disabled comments on her latest posts, the ones where she paraded study sessions and Starbucks runs like proof of a clean life. Grind mode read the caption under a selfie with Travis's hand barely cropped out. People noticed. Mutual friends texted. Everything okay? Saw something weird on Reddit. Is Ashley all right? I didn't answer. I let the silence grow teeth. But then the real game started, damage control. She emailed me a long message, paragraphs of polished fiction. No apology. Just reframing. I realize now that I've made choices that hurt both of us. But I want to believe that love, and especially parenting, is about growth. I hope we can rise above blame and center compassion for our daughter. No mention of Travis. No accountability. Just the polished garbage her therapist had fed her, before I had that license report filed. I forwarded the email to my lawyer. Add it to the file. 2 days later, her attempt at preemptive spin began. A vague Instagram story. Sometimes people only see the cracks in you when they're the ones who caused them. She was getting nervous. Not guilty, just cornered. I didn't respond. But I did send a copy of her affair timeline to 3 of her closest friends. No commentary. Just the raw data, images, messages, receipts. I chose them carefully, the ones who once warned me she had a flair for drama and a selective memory. Silent allies. People who doubted her long before I had reason to. One of them replied, "Jesus. I always wondered." Another just texted, "Do what you need to do, Mark." I'd been called cold. I wasn't. I was done being warm with people who set fires and called it love. Meanwhile, the university quietly removed Travis from their tutoring program. Officially, they cited a breach of conduct policy. Unofficially, word had spread. A student had posted screenshots on a private forum, "Avoid this guy. He's married to his lies." That night, Ashley showed up again. This time, with her mother. The woman didn't speak. Just stood at the gate like a witness. Ashley held a box of folded onesies and a fake smile. "I'm just here to see my daughter." "You can request visitation through the proper channels," I said. Her face twitched. "She's mine too. You lost the right to say that when you dragged your mess into her home." Her mother looked away. She wasn't defending her this time. Ashley held up her phone. "I'll call the police." I held up mine. "I already did. They're watching from the neighbor's ring cam. Trespassing starts at warning. Second time gets filed." That did it. Her lips parted like she wanted to scream. But she didn't. She backed away. Her mother followed, quiet. Like she'd seen this cycle before, in someone else. Or maybe in herself. After they left, I sat with our daughter. Read her the same bedtime story as always. Her favorite page was the one with the owl, calm, still, wide-eyed. I understood that all now. I didn't move fast. I just saw everything. The next morning, Ashley's internship was officially terminated. They cited breach of ethical expectations and professional conduct in conflict with firm values. They didn't say Travis's name. They didn't have to. She still didn't know about the final letter. The one sent to the state bar. The one that included excerpts from therapy, recorded without her knowledge, but perfectly legal under one-party consent. Soon, she wouldn't just lose face. She'd lose eligibility. This wasn't revenge. This was reclamation. She showed up in a suit. Not for court, not yet. For optics. For theater. A fitted navy blazer, low heels, hair in a bun like professionalism could erase what she'd done. She brought a folder. Legal size. Probably stuffed with printed screenshots I'd already archived a month ago. We met at my lawyer's office. Neutral ground. She insisted on bringing a mediator, one of those co-parenting consultants, with a soft voice and a notepad they pretend doesn't judge. I didn't object. I wanted her to think she still had a seat at the table. "Mark," Ashley said, sitting across from me, "I want to find a way through this that protects our daughter's peace." Peace. Her favorite prop. My lawyer handed her a slim folder. Our terms. Custody. Asset split. Visitation. Post-nup enforcement. Contingency clauses tied to her compliance with psychological review and employment stability. She didn't open it at first. Just stared at the front, lips pressed. "I'm not signing anything without negotiation," she said. My lawyer leaned forward. "You already did. Post-nup's ironclad. Your current circumstances just activate it." The mediator tried to interject, something about shared responsibility, long-term healing. Ashley cut her off. "What circumstances are we referring to?" My lawyer slid a second folder forward. This one thicker. He didn't open it. Just let the weight speak. Affidavits. Photo evidence. Financial misrepresentation. Recordings. Text messages. Violation of your internship's ethics agreement. Malpractice complaints pending against your therapist. Conflict of interest forms never signed. Ashley's jaw clenched. She looked at me, not with anger, with calculation. "You said you wanted peace." "I do," I said. "This is peace. Controlled, quiet, final." "You're destroying my career." "No," I corrected. "You did that. I'm just making sure you don't rewrite the wreckage." She finally opened the folder. Her hands didn't shake, but her eyes darted. Page to page. Clause to clause. She stopped at the section outlining supervised visitation until the review was complete. "I'm not unstable. You thought that when you brought Travis into our home. You thought that when you left our daughter unattended to sneak him through the side gate. It's all on camera." That broke her composure. Just a flicker, but it was there. She turned to the mediator, looking for sympathy. "I made mistakes. But this is punitive." The mediator, to her credit, stayed neutral. Consequences aren't the same as punishment. Ashley looked back at me. "What do you want from me?" I want your signature. I want your silence. And I want you out of my future. She didn't speak for a full minute. Then, you'll regret this. When she's older, when she asks why her parents hate each other. She won't need to ask, I said. She'll see who stayed. Who protected. Who didn't lie. Ashley flipped the final page. Took the pen. Signed. Initialed. Dated. Not a tear in sight. When it was done, she stood slowly, dignity unraveling one fiber at a time. I hope you feel powerful. No, I said. I feel clean. She left the office without a word. Not a look back. Outside, the PI I hired sat in a parked car, watching. Not for surveillance anymore. For delivery. Because in 30 minutes, Ashley had an alumni panel she was scheduled to speak on, live streamed. And in her inbox was a time-stamped compilation of every inconsistency, every lie, every ethical breach, with a cover letter from an anonymous law student, concerned about precedent. Travis would be watching too. He texted her the night before, "Don't throw me under the bus." She didn't reply. She knew the wheels were already rolling. Ashley didn't make it to the panel. The event went live without her. The moderator stalled, said there had been a schedule conflict. Online, whispers started before the hour was up, rumors of misconduct, ethics violations, something about student-professor boundaries. Her name trended on campus subreddits for the worst reason imaginable. Nobody was surprised. I didn't gloat. I observed. 2 hours later, I got a text from her mother. "Whatever you did, she's not okay." I didn't reply. Because not okay was a long time coming. Not from one move. From months of calculation unraveling under the weight of proof. She tried to fight it. That evening, she went live on a private Instagram account, probably created to control the narrative. I watched from a burner. Her voice was raw, but her words were rehearsed. There's a version of me being circulated that isn't fair. Yes, I made choices. But the person spreading this is weaponizing personal pain. No names. No specifics. But enough breadcrumbs for her loyalists to bite. Comments poured in, "You're so brave." Haters gonna hate. Men can't handle strong women. I let them talk. Let them burn themselves out with second-hand righteousness. Then I dropped the link. No caption. No tags. Just a Google Drive folder, read-only. Time-stamped files. Footage. Transcripts. Receipts. Clean. Legal. Brutal. Within an hour, her defenders went silent. Some deleted comments. One even messaged me privately. Didn't know it was this deep. Sorry for assuming. Travis tried a Hail Mary. He posted a video, shirtless, naturally, claiming certain people were trying to ruin his career out of jealousy. Comments weren't kind. Turns out, underachieving stoners don't draw sympathy once the shine wears off. 3 old flings came forward, sharing screenshots of similar messages. A freshman accused him of coercion. Campus forums lit up like dry brush. By midnight, Travis deleted his account. Ashley didn't. She switched hers to private. But the screen grabs had already spread. You can't unring a bell, especially not when you rang yourself in a room full of cameras. My lawyer sent the final email the next morning. All documents executed. Custody, asset division, and all contingencies now enforceable. Please confirm receipt. She confirmed. No fight. No negotiation. Just a period. That weekend, our daughter stayed with me. We played in the backyard. Drew chalk galaxies on the pavement. She asked where Mommy was. I said, Mommy's figuring some things out. Not a lie. Just not her version. I didn't need to poison the well. Ashley did that herself. I just made sure no one could build a bridge back over it. Monday, I got a letter from the bar. They were reviewing multiple complaints related to character and fitness, and would be delaying her application process indefinitely. The email was CC'd to Amanda Klein, the therapist. Apparently, they'd uncovered a pattern of similar misconduct. I didn't need an apology. Just results. Ashley had once told me that law was about truth. I gave her all of it. In triplicate. She didn't come back. Not for her things. Not for an apology. Not even for the last scraps of dignity still collecting dust in our shared closet. Her name was stripped from every legal document tied to this house. No mortgage. No car. No shared accounts. Just a court-mandated visitation schedule she hadn't dared to invoke yet. The front lawn looked different without her SUV in the driveway. Better. Quieter. The lawyer confirmed it, divorce finalized. Custody locked. No appeals pending. No motions filed. She was officially out of my life. What came after wasn't relief. It was weightlessness, the silence that follows an explosion. You don't celebrate it. You just float through it, grateful the fire is finally behind you. I found her LinkedIn scrubbed clean. No job. No license. A 6-month gap that said everything her pride never would. Mutual friends faded. Some picked sides quietly. Others texted me cryptic support. I always knew something was off. They hadn't warned me. I remembered that. Ashley resurfaced once, 2 months later. She showed up at our daughter's recital, uninvited, sitting 2 rows behind me, sunglasses on indoors. She didn't try to speak. Didn't wave. Just watched. I let her sit there, a ghost in a borrowed seat, while our daughter danced in a tutu she hadn't paid for, in a life she no longer belonged to. Afterward, she lingered near the exit. I nodded at her. Nothing more. She opened her mouth to speak, but I turned and walked away. Holding my daughter's hand. Carrying everything that still mattered. I never heard her voice again. The footage is still archived. Locked behind passwords and backups. Not because I need it, but because some stories deserve to be remembered in their full, ugly truth. She once said truth was relative. She learned it wasn't. And I learned silence isn't weakness. It's a scalpel. And when wielded right, it cuts cleaner than anything else.